Let me talk about gut health for a second, particularly the gut mucosal barrier. And every year, more and more people are developing gut issues. So why is our gut being so compromised so much? Why is what was designed to protect us from viruses being hit so hard these days and ultimately being suppressed, resulting in poor gut health? Well, our modern living impairs immunity at the mucosa. Each day, our bodies are bombarded by a host of disruptive things that weaken this line of defense. Air pollutants, pesticides in the food and water supply, medications, stress hormones, refined carbohydrates, processed food, and micronutrient deficiencies, among many other factors, disrupt the architecture and make the gut barrier more penetrable. This makes it easy for harmful particles to get inside, including viruses, bacteria, molds, allergens, and environmental toxins. But there's good news, you guys. Colostrum has been clinically shown to help guard against inflammation and everyday toxins and pollutants. There are over 5,000 published studies to date documenting the benefits of colostrum and its ability to optimize health at all stages of life. Colostrum intake has been linked to fewer respiratory tract and GI infections in children and adults, including recent studies showing it's 3 times more effective than the flu vaccine at preventing the flu. That's right. You heard me. Colostrum has been clinically shown to be 3 times more effective than the flu vaccine without any risk or harmful side effects. If you've been following me on Instagram, then you probably have seen me talk about Armra colostrum specifically. Armra colostrum is different. They use a proprietary cold chain biopotent technology that distills over 200 functional nutrients, guaranteeing the highest bioactive integrity and bioavailability. They also only extract and use the surplus colostrum from grass-fed, pasture-raised, happy cows that are no longer needing it to supply their young. So you know you're not taking away from animals that need it. Only the surplus colostrum is used, and Armra makes sure they are getting only the best from healthy USA cows from family farms. Armra has 3 flavors, orange, watermelon, and unflavored, which is my personal favorite because the unflavored has no natural flavors and just one single ingredient. It tastes creamy and kind of just delicious, in my opinion, just kind of like a milky, creamy goodness. And it's suitable for even those with dairy sensitivities because the casein is removed, which is the protein most people with a dairy allergy react to. And Armra has many dairy sensitive customers. And for those who do not have a true allergy, but rather have a dairy intolerance, the culprit is usually not the dairy itself, but rather the way that it is processed. All commercial dairy utilizes high heat and aggressive processing for pasteurization and sterilization. Unfortunately, this changes the structural shape of the proteins and destroys the omega fat molecules, rendering them unrecognizable to the body as a food. This is what triggers the immune system inappropriately, leading to intolerance symptoms like digestive complaints, rashes, and inflammation. However, Armra's innovative cold chain biopotent technology distills colostrum's 200 plus functional nutrients without the use of high temperatures, guaranteeing the highest bioactive integrity and bioavailability. As a result, Armra is actually anti-inflammatory and often well tolerated by customers who typically would have dairy intolerance otherwise. So, if you want to rebuild your whole body microbiome and strengthen your immune barriers along the mouth, sinuses, lungs, gut, urinary, and reproductive tract to block unwelcome particles for your strongest immune health, I highly recommend Armra Colostrum. Go to tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST to receive a special discount for my podcast listeners only. That's tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST to receive a discount. Again, that's tryarmra.com and use code DIGEST. I hope you love it as much as I do. Believe it or not, the fat in your body is made up of different colors, and not all fat is created equal. Scientists have identified both white and brown fat, and each play a different role in the body, some beneficial and the other fat not so beneficial. So, do you know which type of fat is more desirable for one's health? Well, by the end of this episode, you will. And you will certainly know how to obtain this more desirable fat in your own body. Welcome back to this week's Bite of Knowledge, where each Monday I share a shorter episode on the Digest This podcast. These are little bites of knowledge you can take away and just feel a little bit smarter than your friends. These smaller Monday episodes are geared to you to give you the information you want in a shorter amount of time. Because let's face it, we all are busy. I get it. But don't forget about my Wednesday episodes, where each is about 60 minutes packed full of information from various guests that are doctors, clinicians, dietitians, experts in the field of IBS, digestion, and nutrition, as well as popular social media figures we all know and love. These Wednesday episodes are the ones where you can listen on your drive to work, school, while getting ready in the morning, showering, going on a walk, or laying on the beach. Whatever your podcast listening routine is, I've got both ends of the spectrum covered. So don't miss this Wednesday as well. So what's the purpose of body fat? Well, each kind of fat serves a different purpose. White fat. So let's talk about white fat for a second. White fat is the standard fat you've likely known about your entire life. It stores your energy in large fat droplets that accumulate around the body. The accumulation of fat helps keep you warm by literally providing insulation for your organs. This is not bad, but too much white fat can cause obesity, and too much white fat around the midsection specifically may also create a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, and other diseases. Now let's talk about brown fat. Brown fat stores energy in a smaller space than white fat. It's packed with iron-rich mitochondria, which is how it gets its color. And when brown fat burns, it creates heat without shivering. This process is called thermogenesis. And during this process, the brown fat also burns calories. Brown fat is also highly regarded as a possible treatment for obesity and some metabolic syndromes. And this type of fat is typically stored in smaller deposits around the shoulders and the neck. All people have some amount of brown fat, which is the kind you're actually born with. But researchers have come to realize that as we get older, the brown fat we are born with diminishes as we get older to various degrees, but we can get it back. So let's talk about the possible ways to build up brown fat in our bodies. Now, first of all, certain drugs can actually cause the browning of white fat. There's a specific drug used to help manage insulin resistance and can help with brown fat accumulation. But this medication is prescribed to people diagnosed with diabetes and is not available to others. And honestly, why take any drug if you don't medically need it, right? There's always a risk with often additional side effects which bring on other issues. But interestingly enough, get this, the same drug is also associated with weight gain, fluid retention, and other side effects. So they can't be used as a quick fix for people just looking to gain more brown fat. But here are some possible alternatives to gaining brown fat or altering the white fat in your body to brown. Now, exposing your body to cool and even cold temperatures may help recruit more brown fat cells. Some research suggests that just 2 hours of exposure each day to temperatures around 66 degrees Fahrenheit may be enough to turn fat brown. That's why ice baths are so popular these days, and though many that take cold plunges may not even know why it's helping, they just do it, right? But this is technically what's happening. Turning the thermostat down a few degrees in your home or going outside in cold weather are also other ways to cool your body and possibly create more brown fat. I wonder if eating cold ice cream could do the same thing. Okay, that was just a little fun humor there. Eating a tub of ice cream will not have the same effect. Trust me. But to that point, just because you're exposing your body to cooler temperatures or doing all the things to turn white fat into brown fat, and you're still eating a crappy diet and eating the junk and all of that stuff, it's not really going to help you. Remember, diet is key, and it is the core and the structure to everything else. So you really can't outdo or outperform a bad diet. It all starts with good nutrition. Now, exercise is another way to help create brown fat in the body. Other research suggests that a protein called irisin may help transform white fat to brown. One 2016 study found that people who were more sedentary produced less irisin than those who exercised more often. Specifically, levels are increased when people do more intense aerobic interval training. However, there's not enough research as of now to know for sure if exercise specifically creates more brown fat. Of course, exercise has many health benefits, and one of the benefits is, of course, like losing weight and weight management. So I tend to think if researchers are finding results from the brown fat being created by exercise, is it truly that, or is it just the natural result of losing weight from exercise in general, and that is persuading their results? Now, regardless, moving your body has loads of health benefits beyond just weight loss, such as strengthening your bones, muscles, heart health, which, by the way, is also a muscle, endurance, flexibility, and even digestive benefits are created by movement. So, all that to say, move your body. Even if moving your body is just cleaning your home, that's work, you guys. So again, you may be listening to this podcast and wondering, okay, so brown fat is good, but what is it actually doing? I mean, how can it help? So it's been shown to actually improve your metabolism. So brown fat actually helps improve and increase your metabolism. So metabolism involves the chemical reactions that break down the food we eat into sugars, fats, and amino acids. We use these compounds for energy to power our bodies. They may also be used to build new cell structures and machinery. I mean, that is amazing, you guys. Our metabolism can be impacted by many factors, such as diet, genes, the environment, endocrine disruptors, and daily activity. So what brown fat does, it actually breaks down glucose and fat molecules to create heat and help maintain body temperature. As mentioned, cold temperatures activate brown fat, which leads to various metabolic changes in the body. Most of the fat Americans are familiar with and have is white fat. White fat is not all bad, and we do need it to some degrees. It's what stores up energy in our body, right? But too much white fat is the result of obesity, and researchers are continuously working to harness brown fat's activity in order to treat obesity, diabetes, and other metabolic disorders. Something I often say and share in my Instagram stories is that by 2030, 50% of the population will be obese. Not overweight, but obese. We are currently in that state of the majority of Americans being overweight already. But obesity is serious and comes with additional health issues. So we need to get this fixed. And no, I am not saying everyone needs to know how to activate the brown fat in their body, but this statistic is what I'm sure is fueling and motivating scientists into more brown fat research. And researchers are still trying to understand the genes that control how white and brown fat develop. In one 2013 study, scientists engineered mice to be born with very little brown fat by limiting a protein called type 1A BMP receptor. And when exposed to cold, the mice created brown fat from their white fat and muscles anyway, showing the power of recruitment and changing those molecules. So if they can do it, they're saying that we can still change it, and there's been evidence to show that. Researchers have also discovered that a certain protein called B cell factor 2, aka EBF2, might play a key role in building brown fat as well. Now, when engineered mice had exposure to high levels of EBF2, it transformed white fat to brown fat, and these cells consumed more oxygen, which shows that the brown fat was indeed producing heat and burning calories. Now, diabetes is something that so many Americans either have or they are pre-diabetic, and a lot of people don't even know they're pre-diabetic. And so the question stands, can brown fat help treat or prevent conditions like diabetes? Well, there was a 2015 review on various studies that showed brown fat burns calories and may help control blood sugar and improve insulin levels, decreasing the risk for type 2 diabetes. It may also help with removing fats from the blood, decreasing the risk for other sorts of health conditions and metabolic issues. And other studies show promise for brown fat's role in treating obesity. Again, it all goes back to obesity, and America has just such a huge issue right now. Like I just said, I feel like a broken record, but by 2030, you guys, half of Americans will be obese. And so we really need to start now, because that's literally just a few years away. Okay, so now that you have knowledge that there are different types of fat and that we can accumulate and change our fat colors from white to brown, remember that fat is not the enemy here. It's too much of the wrong fat that can be harmful. Just like anything, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. Too much avocado, too much nut butter, heck, even too much vegetables or water can cause issues. So all this to say, having a balanced life is truly what will help achieve your health goals. And I'm not just talking about diet, relationships, work, and life. Balance it, you guys. Thanks for listening to this week's Bite of Knowledge on the Digest This podcast. See you all this Wednesday. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Resonant Media production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Chris McCone. To email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.